Yusef Komunyakaa, and okay. I've judged a lot of contests, especially within the last 3 years, and usually what I do is that I have 2 stacks: the no POW, which is very high, and the maybe POW, which is a chore. This one was this was an interesting contest for me because I had a stack of maybes and one separate manuscript, Tina Barr's collection of poems entitled The Fugitive Eye. I would like to say this: Tina Barr's poems are lyrical narratives. They are also emotional equations which go to all territories of the body and soul. And they are brave adventures and ventures that plumb our everyday lives without any touch of nostalgia. No wonder Plato banished the poet from his ideal republic, because Tina Barr's poems questioned the whole psychological terrain, who we are and what we are about. They are public and personal, and it's interesting because the personal and public also dovetails to form a kind of plateau where language takes over and gives us a kind of imagistic composite of emotions, fears, all of those territories that we question without the context of our own psyche as such, and consequently marries us to the universe of possibilities. Tina Barr's.
Well, I don't think I've ever wanted to cry at a reading before, but okay. Okay, I'm going to read 4 poems, and but first I just want to thank all the editors of the Pink Bride Quarterly. Among them, Marion Wren and my dear friend, Major Jackson, and also Kathy Vokenwater, who's really unstintingly generous in terms of her time and energy. I also have really fond memories of the Pink Bride when I first came here in '82. They published me, and it's a great, really wonderful magazine. And I want to thank Yusef Komunyakaa. I don't think I can find the right words, so I'm not going to try. I also wanted to thank my friends who are here and for all your love and support over the years, and especially my first fan, Harris, and my mentor, Dan O'Hara. So I'm going to read 4 poems, and the first one is called Lunch. I know you're all hungry, so maybe I should use that word. But it's called Lunch on the Reading Room Deck. And it's about my family. The reading room is this club that was built on the coast of Maine in 1897, and it's very Edith Wharton-esque. And this poem's also about aging, which is fitting since I'm 42 today. So, Lunch on the Reading Room Deck. See, this way you're upside down, says my nephew, looking at the spoon. Mirror, mirror, brown as a berry, my sister says. My skull, my bones. At 7, he reads words as long as exoskeleton. His eyes chipped from the same rock as the hewn waves that drop and gutter. Holding my hand, he picked his footing on the cliff walk. He told me Mary Read and Annie Bonny sailed with Calico Jack till Jack was caught. He sang it out. You may be a man, but you'll hang like a dog. A litany is brandished through my head. Jean Lafitte, Edward Teach, and Captain Kidd. The next table spews acquisitions, percentages, Asian markets. On the bluff, that's where we'll bury it. So I draw the hotel, the pool, the curve of sand where my grandparents met. We are on the lookout from our deck. There could be pirates. Sharks have escaped his plastic tank with its frilled green palm, sprung from the little island's turtle cluster, stuck in like our umbrella. Top turtle lives in the palm, he says. A shark, a lizard, an octopus, all plastic inhabitants. He calls them predators. In the stone blue ocean, doubt, age, and fear, sea dragons escaped from old map margins, roll and arch and tumble, but we have buried a treasure on our crayon paper map. We have tiny plastic-wrapped oyster crackers to take with us, the spy glasses of our eyes, and our breath, Leviathan. Around us lie glass pools of Bloody Marys, flagship sandwiches, pinned together with ruffled toothpicks, whose cellophane feathers we use as parrots. Inside the spoon is a spider's web, reflected, concentric, the rings of striped umbrella we sit under. Okay. You know me, I always like to read new poems, so of course I'm only reading one poem from the chapbook. But anyway, this is called Three Nectarines. Up on the shelf is an angel figurine. In the night, I am wrapped in sheets. What is it that I have seen? Cracks figure branches in the ceiling. What is my father doing to me? High on the shelf is an angel figurine. I am screaming in this dream. Where is my mother? Where is she? What is it that I have seen? A girl in a kerchief climbs a tree. She puts in her basket 3 nectarines. Up on the shelf is an angel figurine. As a child, I had a Hummel figurine, a freckle-faced girl in the crook of a tree. What is it that I have seen? The knobs of the tree not yet in leaf, her dirndl blue aproned, a red kerchief. High on the shelf is an angel figurine. What is it that I have seen? Okay, the next poem is called The Woman in the Carpet. There was I'm really interested in Oriental carpets. Of course I can't buy them, but I can look at them. There was a really great exhibit of Central Asian carpets well, that's what poets do, they just look. At the University Museum last fall, there was this really wonderful exhibit, and it was curated by a Russian woman, and there were all these carpets from Central Asia, some of them quite old. And so I have words in here like gulls, G-U-L-S, and botes, which are shapes, common shapes that are used in carpets. And the teke are a tribe. Rattle is red ochre that they use to make a red dye. And you know what, Melanie knows what yurts are. They're those yak skin, tents that people live in Mongolia and Central Asia. And also I mentioned, I refer to DNA, although somewhat obscurely through the word helix. And cochineal dye is a pink or red dye that's made from insects. So this is called The Woman in the Carpet. These are the trappings the camel wore to carry the bride to the wedding. A score of sitting birds spike a red ground. They straddle inside the lattice in which they are woven, a dotted field. The white gulls are scattered seed and grain. The bird pattern knotted in the blue lattice inside the rattle-colored teke rug makes an inset in the shape of a yurt on the camel ground of earth. Beside the yurt, tendrils of life's trees rise, white leaves spliced to the winding. He will teach her on her back, on her front. They'll make the camel's patterned lurch. I look into the red window from which come sounds, flicked strings and drums, come running birds and linked figures, trapped, captured, traded, enslaved. In the door surrounds, girls wove for their dowries, hover spiders, candelabras, mandalas of rare yellow. So when I enter each visual field, red bottes float on pink ground or pink silk embroidered iris open. I watch parades of two-headed birds, pregnant camels, tiny ones woven inside. Trample flower borders lit by bottes of oil lamps, wicks stabbed in yak butter. The woman who made this carpet wove in camel hair the ground of earth, dropped lines of headdressed flowers down from heaven. 2 double helixes spiral to the sky, pink from cochineal dye. Okay, I have one more, and I'm doing what Michelle is doing, which is you have to read the one you've been working on most recently, because you have to feel completely naked up here. Okay. So this poem is called, I think it's a little obscure. It's called The Animal Kingdom. And all my friends know that recently my cat died, so that's one thing, the poem. And it's really, I guess, about, we're all dying as we're breathing. So it's about betrayals and the way that we get betrayed and we do things that must be done. Also, I mentioned one of my nephews, Evan, in here. And of course, the word I am's, the metric foot, da-da-da-da-da-da. Of course, if I were a really great poet, this would all be an iambic pentameter. It's not, but anyway. The Animal Kingdom. Dolphins skidded the way skaters sheer ice, looping and braiding on the loom of the waves. A Pinocchio nodded his long nose, rose, fishtailing, throned, shaping water as if it were clay. Platelets of mercury the sun made, dished and slid in the troughs of the waves. My sister was in the water. He turned her, drew her under. I stood on deck as he prodded and drove her down into the dream's water. Potassium, the package read, sodium, ash. A rag doll curled, breathing in my arms. A float the size of an egg was moored inside his stomach. Shavings from a goldsmith's table flecked his green irises. On the wall, animals climbed into an arc. The vet's needle slid into his heart. After skating, Marianne set her hat around black fur with ear flaps on the cushion of her coat. All evening, I watched it. He will come back as ash. Dolphins leap in the teal along my nephew's bedroom wall. His toy dolphin turns over, chasing its tail. My sister and I saw dozens. I-ams, they jumped blue hurdles in the Aegean, hyphens in space, stitching the visible. The man who broke me like fruit banged my head the way I crack the cap of an olive jar against the counter. We rolled and tumbled, making pantomime all night, a slow acrobatic, a shape changing. My intestines clutch, curling like octopus, tapping its elephant's trunks. It was my brother they took. White cells flooded his blood, like loosened schools of egg whites. Tiny jellyfish pumped and skidded in amniotic brine. Evan says his new word, pattern. Little stones that never stop, skipping, vanishing. Thank you. Now it's my truly to introduce him. His poetry glitters and shatters and explodes in its multidimensionality. Its imagery is vivid and intense, and it fuses pain and beauty. It fills us like music. Yusef.